If you're visiting London for the first time, there are a few classic mistakes that can ruin your trip, and we've seen them happen so many times. Turning up to the changing of the guard on the wrong day, walking miles between landmarks that seem close on a map, but they're really not, and worst of all, missing out on the most popular experiences in London because you haven't booked early enough.
In this video, we are sharing 14 huge mistakes tourists make in London and exactly how to avoid them.
Mistake number one, underestimating the travel times between sites. So you're looking on a map and you're seeing all of these landmarks in London. They look fairly close, but this is very deceptive because London is absolutely massive. So for example, you're going from Big Ben to Tower Bridge. This can easily take you 50+ minutes just to walk between the two. And so what a lot of tourists make the mistake of is they are dotting around London trying to do all these sites. They're very ambitious, and this can lead to exhaustion and missed experiences because you're running around like headless chickens. You don't want to be doing the British Museum, Camden Town, or Tower of London all in one day because they are all miles apart. Instead, what you want to do is stick to one area of London at a time, fully enjoy that area, and then when you're ready to move on, just avoid going from one end of London to the other.
So to make it easier for you, we've actually created a custom Google map grouping all of the top attractions together, and you will clearly see the neighborhoods and all of the attractions dotted on the map, which will save you a lot of time commuting from one place to another, and we'll put the link in the description so it will be easier for you when you are planning your trip to London.
Mistake number two, avoiding the tube. So tourists absolutely love to walk around London, and we get it. We ourselves love to explore London on foot. It is the best way to do it, but because London is so big, it can get tiring very quickly. And you don't want to rely on taxis because they can get very expensive very quickly. And so there should be no reason why you shouldn't be taking advantage of the underground, because not only are the tubes very efficient, very clean, they also are very affordable. And that's how Londoners love to get around London, because it is the best way to get around London. Trains are frequent, the stations are clearly signed, and there is a daily cap on actually how much you can spend on the underground, which I believe is £8.50. And so you're not going to overspend, and most of the attractions are just a few stops apart. So not only will you get around faster, but you'll also get around cheaper and with way less stress. Now, it might seem a little bit intimidating at first. Even myself taking the tube for the first time, I was nervous, I was anxious, because from the outside, the underground seems like this kind of complex system, but it really isn't. Once you've taken the tube a few times, it is really easy, I promise you. Now, the best way to be at ease when coming to London is to download Google Maps. Not only will Google Maps tell you which train to get on, it'll also tell you when the next train is arriving, if you need to switch onto a different line, and also when you are exiting, which exit to take to get to the site that you need to get to the fastest. And so Google Maps, for the 3 days we were in London, it was actually the best way to get around London and also to take the underground. Now, there is another option which you might have heard of, and that is City Mapper. So me and Karolina actually met in London, was it 5 years? 6 ago? Such a long time. And we were actually, when we met, we were actually leading international students around London. So we were like tour guides for them and taking them to different attractions and sites. And Google Maps wasn't super accurate back then, and that's why we had to use City Mapper. But actually Google Maps, every time we've been to London since then, has actually been very accurate. So we highly recommend to use that. But as a backup, you can just download City Mapper. Mistake number three is still buying paper tickets instead of contactless payment on the tube. So this is the easiest mistake to avoid, and that is to not buy paper tickets because they're actually more expensive. And actually on the website and on the machine, the Transport for London, they actually say that the tickets, the paper tickets, are more expensive than using contactless. So they're really wanting you to use a contactless form of payment. That is a bank card, that's either the physical one or on a phone. So you can tap in and out. It is effortless. It's so much quicker than buying a paper ticket. So don't be the tourist who's queuing up to buy paper tickets that are more expensive and actually way less convenient.
And you might have heard about something called Oyster card, which is a transportation card especially for London. And the question is if you really need it, because you need to pay for it upfront £7, and actually you will be charged exactly the same daily fare cap, which we explained earlier, which is £8.50. And also using a card or contactless, you're getting the lowest fares anyway. So do you really need it? We don't think so.
Probably not. So we often get quite a few questions from families traveling with children on how to take public transport. So we did a bit of research and we found that children under the age of 11 travel free. Now, if your child is 11 or older, they will need a ticket, usually at a discounted rate. Now, we're going to put a link in the description to a resource that covers all of the options for traveling with children in London. Mistake number 4, breaking tube etiquette. So the tube has unspoken rules, and if you break them, Londoners won't really say anything, but you definitely will feel their silent judgment. So, Karolina, what are the basics of tube etiquette?
So first, when you're on the escalator, stand on the right-hand side, because the left side is purely reserved for people who are really rushing down to the platform.
So they are rushing down to get onto the tube as quickly as possible. Now, before getting onto the tube, please allow for people to come off the tube, because the amount of times I've seen people barging on, trying to go through the people coming off the tube. First of all, it's so impolite, but also it just doesn't make sense. And I've seen that happen quite a few times, to the point where actually I can understand why Londoners would probably get very frustrated with people doing that. Now, another thing to avoid is eye contact. So you're in these spaces, the tube inside of it, it's so small, and you're often in crowded conditions. You might even be like pressed up against someone's armpit. And so the last thing you want to be doing is also having eye contact, because it can kind of make things feel awkward. Now, another thing to avoid is to avoid having conversations with people on the tube. It's not really a place where Londoners have conversations. They're usually keeping to themselves. They're having, long, stressful days. They're using it to commute. And London isn't, I would say, as someone coming from the UK, the most friendliest place, so they're not really wanting to have conversations. And so the last thing they want is a tourist coming down and trying to make small talk with them while they're trying to get to work. And so next point is?
Yeah, usually it's also very busy on the tube. So if you're wearing a backpack or you have some sort of like a bag, it's really polite to put it down, not to knock into other people.
Yeah.
And also be mindful of not blocking the doors, because people want to actually get off the train as quickly as possible. So they will just expect from you to know that.
And another point with the rucksack is that you don't also need to have it down. Actually, probably another thing you could do is have it in front of you, and that's going to help you to avoid any kind of pickpocket situation, so you can actually see that your rucksack's right in front of you. Now, you don't need to act like a local, but just following these simple rules will help you to avoid that awkward tube energy when you're coming to London. Mistake number 5, not booking top activities in advance. This is one of the most painful mistakes you can make, and we made it. We tried booking Harry Potter Studios, I think it was like 2 weeks in advance, and it was completely sold out. And it turns out it sells out 3 to 4 weeks in advance. And it's not just that. Things like the London Eye, Tower of London, West End shows like Lion King regularly sell out, or they have absolutely massive queues on the day. You've come all the way to London and you don't want to risk missing out on the very things that you've come to London to experience. And worst of all, you don't want to be stuck in queues all day, because you spent already so much money coming to London, and you also want to enjoy your time in London, not just be stuck in a queue. And you'll be surprised, thousands of travelers each year are booking their trips well in advance. We're talking like a year in advance. Americans out there, I know you guys, you've been planning your trip to London for a very long time. It's probably the first time you're coming, and it's like one of them bucket list trips. And so this is what you're competing with. You're competing with thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of travelers coming to London, and they're going to be booking their activities, and during peak times, activities are going to sell out. So we really highly recommend booking your activities as early as possible in advance, so you don't miss out on them experiences you've come to London to see. But let's be honest, seeing all of the main sites can get really expensive really fast. And that's why whenever we travel, we're always looking for smart ways to save money without missing out.
One of our favorite ways to do that is with Klook. It's this super easy booking platform that we use all over the world, whether it's buying skip the line tickets, day trips, or booking local experiences. expenses.
There are a multitude of languages and currencies you can choose from, and honestly, the prices can't be beat. Right now, they're running a summer getaway sale, and you can get up to 50% off experiences in not just London, but also places like Japan, South Korea, and even the US too.
If you're visiting London, one of the best deals that you can get is Go City London Pass Plus. With it, you will get the access to over 100 attractions, including the London Eye, Big Bus Stores, the Shard, the Tower of London, Westminster Abbey, and loads more.
You can skip lines at popular spots, and it actually works out cheaper than buying full price tickets separately, so the more you see, the more value you get.
It's flexible too. You can choose where and when to visit, and you can manage everything right on your phone with the app. No tickets, no hassle, just scan and go.
So if you want to save money on your trip, grab your phone, scan the QR code on screen, or click the link in the description to download the Klook app. And don't forget, when making your booking, use our code JKarolinaKlook to get the best deal. And I just want to say a big thank you to Klook for sponsoring this video. Mistake number 6 is missing the changing of the guard or doing it wrong. Now, the changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace is one of the most iconic things to do when coming to London, but often tourists do it completely wrong. They either turn up on the wrong day, or they arrive late and they've missed the entire changing of the guard, or they don't turn up early enough and they're actually behind a sea of phones and selfie sticks, so they can't really see what's actually happening.
So here's everything that you need to know, and the most important is that it doesn't happen daily. So basically it changes according to the season, to the weather, and we all know that British weather is not predictable, and some of the other events, but when it does happen, it happens on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays at 11 a.m. But again, what's the most important is that you need to arrive early, because we arrived around 10 a.m. and it was literally the latest that we could be there, because after that the crowds are really real.
Start to gather the crowds.
Yeah, and also what is very important is your position. So the best view you will get from the Victoria Memorial facing the palace, or if you would like to see the guards actually approaching, you can also go halfway down the mall, so you will see
Mall.
Or Mall.
I actually heard someone say the Mall.
The main street, basically,
Yeah.
there.
We're also going to put a link in the description to the official schedule. So when you're coming to London, make sure to check out that resource so you know exactly what time and what day you need to be there to see the changing of the guard. Mistake number 7 is only visiting the famous landmarks.
Seeing Big Ben, Buckingham Palace and Tower Bridge is a must, but if that's all you see, you will leave London with just a postcard version of the city. The real London is layered. Hidden neighborhoods, local markets and streets where people actually live, eat and create. The areas we are about to share might not be royal landmarks, but they are just as much a part of what makes London, London. First up, Notting Hill. Famous from movies, but still worth visiting for yourself. Rows of pastel houses, wander down Portobello Road Market, antiques, vintage stalls, and treasures you didn't know you needed. Grab a flat white or a buttery croissant from a tucked away cafe, and definitely don't miss Lancaster Road, where every doorway bursts with color. It's a picture perfect and a charming environment, even if it's not a secret anymore. Next, Shoreditch, my favorite district in London, is the city's creative and rebellious heart, where bold murals, covered old brick walls, pop-up galleries feel converted warehouses, and every alley hides something new. There are plenty of great curry houses tucked among the vintage shops, and the whole area has this raw, buzzing energy that makes you want to keep exploring. And while you're there, head to Brick Lane for the famous Bagel Bake. They are making bagels fresh around the clock, and there's always a line of people waiting for one, because their salted beef bagel with pickles and mustard was hands down the best we have ever tasted. And then there's Camden. Loud, colorful and proudly alternative. The buildings here are a mix of old brick facades covered in giant 3D figures, bold murals and shop fronts that grab your attention. Wander through the market stalls overflowing with handmade jewelry, vintage vinyl and punk fashion. Then follow the crowds down to the canal, where you will find food from every corner of the world and people lounging by the water. It's chaotic in the best possible way. So snap your photos with the top landmarks, but definitely wander off the tourist trail too. That's where London really shows you its true soul.
Mistake number 8 is skipping London's free museums.
Here are the ones that we would definitely recommend. The British Museum. This place is packed with some of the world's most important artifacts. Don't miss the Rosetta Stone, the key that cracked ancient Egyptian writing, and the Egyptian mummies, which are fascinating at any age. Make sure to check out the Parthenon sculptures too. Beautiful marble carvings that once decorated the Parthenon Temple of Athena in Athens. Next, the Natural History Museum. You will recognize it right away with its beautiful architecture and grand Hinds Hall. Inside, you will be greeted by Hope, the giant blue whale skeleton hanging overhead. Make sure you will check out the Dinosaur Gallery. The T-Rex is always a favorite. And around the corner, there's the Science Museum. It's a must for kids, but honestly, just as fun for adults. We loved it. There's an entire section on space with real rockets and satellites, and if you're a big fan of old cars, check out the vintage collection. It's a fascinating look at how transport has evolved over the years. To help you out, we've added a link in the description with all the most interesting and popular free museums in London pinned on a single Google map, so you will exactly know where to find them when you're here.
And mistake number 9 is not taking advantage of free things to do. London can be expensive, but not everything here drains your wallet. Some of the best experiences in the city are completely free, and missing them is a big mistake. Here are a few we genuinely recommend. Sky Garden. One of London's best free viewpoints. You do need to book a time slot in advance, but if you do, you'll skip the queue outside. Once you're up there, you'll get amazing panoramic views over the city, the Shard, the Thames, all of it. There's an indoor garden, plenty of space to wander around, and a cafe if you fancy a coffee or a drink with a view. It's a pretty unique way to see London, and it won't cost you a penny. Hyde Park, London's biggest royal park and one of the best places to take a break from the busy streets of London. Stroll along the shady paths, sit by the Serpentine and watch the swans, or stop for a coffee at one of the cafes by the water. You'll see people jogging, cycling, or just stretched out on the grass enjoying a bit of calm right in the heart of this city. South Bank Walk, a beautiful riverside stroll full of iconic landmarks. You'll pass the London Eye, the Tate Modern, and you can keep going all the way to Tower Bridge. There's always something happening here. Buskers playing music, people relaxing under the trees, families grabbing ice creams from the ice cream vans, and the famous second-hand book market tucked under Waterloo Bridge. It's one of the best ways to soak up London's atmosphere without spending a penny. Covent Garden, one of London's best spots to wander and soak up the atmosphere. You'll see street performers everywhere here, especially magicians pulling in big crowds. We even saw one making a kid levitate. That absolutely blew my mind. I had no idea how he did that. You'll also find the Apple Market packed with stalls selling art, crafts and vintage bits, or you can just grab a spot on the cobbles with the kids and enjoy the entertainment. And if you fancy a drink, there are plenty of old pubs around here too. Mistake number 10 is wasting time at tourist traps like Leicester Square or Oxford Street. Now this is a bit of a controversial point because a lot of tourists, maybe you have got these places on your itinerary, and honestly, we think these are places that are worth skipping because there's so much better things to do in London. Now, when it comes to Leicester Square, what you'll find is as you arrive, we saw some construction happening, but I think the worst part is you'll see like lots of these kind of tacky souvenir shops, vapes, like I hate it. I hate vape shops. They're like kind of popping up all over the place.
And also a lot of fast food places. And these are not the places that you want to eat when you're coming to London.
You're coming to London to try all of the beautiful food. London's so diverse. We're going to be talking about that in a later point about really good food options. And coming to Leicester Square and just seeing the whole place kind of being ravaged by fast food restaurants, it doesn't quite make sense for you to be there. It can get quite crowded and it's not really anything special in our our opinion. Coming onto Oxford Street, you know, a lot of people, it's such a charming street, you know, it's lined with Union Jacks, but the reality is that it gets like so crowded, you can't even walk in peace. We even see like people just standing there like hugging in the middle of the pavement. And there is like, again, there's like lots of souvenir shops, which, you know, you see one, you might go in and buy a few things, but after a while it kind of gets a little bit tiring.
Yeah, and also there's these American candy shops with the prices that are just out of this world.
Prices are extortionate, and so that's what you're going to find coming onto Oxford Street. By all means, you can do a bit of shopping there, but we don't find the shopping there particularly anything kind of different from what you'll get from other places around the world. So in our opinion, keep Oxford Street and Leicester Square off your itinerary. There are way better things to spend your money and time on. Mistake number 11 is getting hit with roaming charges. So this is a very easy mistake to make and a very costly one. So a lot of tourists, when they land in the UK, they'll turn on data roaming and not really think twice about it. And then they'll get home and they'll be landed with a massive bill. And also, if you have like a deal where you can like roam overseas, like a roam like home kind of deal, often the speeds are throttled, and after Brexit, actually a lot of the times it doesn't even work anymore in the UK. We highly recommend using AlloSIM. We've been using them for quite a while now, and they offer quite affordable eSIMs. And the great thing about having an eSIM is that as soon as you land, I'm literally talking on the tarmac, you'll have internet at your fingertips, and you don't need to worry about finding a SIM card shop when you get to the airport. You don't need to switch out your SIM card like the physical ones. You don't need to worry about losing it, and it's very straightforward. All you have to do is download the app, choose the plan, so the country that you're going to, choose the amount of data that you want, and then once you've purchased it, they'll send you all of the instructions to activate it. It is very easy, very simple, and very convenient. Having data straight away is going to make your life so much easier. You can access Google Maps, you can find the right public transportation to take, you can be translating menus, book attractions and activities, all because you've got access to data. We'll put a link in the description, or you can scan the QR code on screen. And don't forget to use our code JKarolina3 to get $3 off your first eSIM. Mistake number 12 is only eating English food. Now guys, I get it. You're coming to England, you want to try English food. I love fish and chips. You should definitely try fish and chips when you're here. Same goes for a full English breakfast, Sunday roast, or getting a proper pie. The classics are amazing. But if you're coming to England just to try English food, you are seriously missing out.
Here are 3 of our recommendations if you fancy trying something different. First up, Indian food. We really recommend checking out Dishum for breakfast. It's modern Indian with a Bombay cafe vibe, and there are a few locations, but we went to the one in Covent Garden and loved it. We both ordered the Big Bombay. It's like a full English breakfast with an Indian twist. So many flavors, it was honestly incredible. Just a tip though, if you're not keen on tomatoes or coriander like Jay, say so, because they sneak it in everywhere, even inside the eggs. And whatever you do, get the bottomless chai. Rich, spicy, sweet, and they keep topping it up. Next, if you're near Chinatown, definitely check out Bun House. It's super casual. They do soft, fluffy bao buns with amazing fillings, and you will see them steaming fresh when you walk in. It's super quick, easy, and perfect for takeaway because it's pretty small inside. But just a heads up, it can get a bit crowded at lunchtime when they open at 12 p.m. We got a set of 3 buns, pork, lamb and steak for £11, and honestly all of them were delicious and tasted super authentic. Plus the service was great. Really cheerful, cracking jokes just added to the whole experience.
What did you say, sorry?
Stop staring at my buns.
Stop staring at your buns.
And if you're in Soho or back in Covent Garden, Mason Bab is a great shout for a relaxed lunch. They do really good, slightly fancy kebabs in a nice setting. The vibe was lively and the staff were brilliant. We actually booked a table on Google Maps the same day just to avoid queuing and walk straight in. Jay had the lamb shawarma, beautifully cooked, served on flatbread with a generous hit of chili sauce and garlic mayo. And I went for the chicken shish salad bowl, packed with quinoa, fresh salad, hummus, crispy kale, and topped with pine nuts. favorites. So by all means, enjoy the classics, but don't stop there. Try to be a little bit more adventurous and eat your way around the world right here in London.
Mistake number 13 is looking the wrong way when crossing the street. Now this might sound so simple, but we see it happening all the time. In the UK, we drive on the left-hand side of the road. Yes, Americans, we drive on the left, not on the right. So traffic is coming from the right. And actually for a lot of tourists, it's the opposite. And you'll even see painted on the road, look left, look right, look both ways, and still people miss it because you can be tired from walking all day, you might be distracted or in a rush, and it's very easy to miss. And in a busy city like London, crossing the road without checking properly can be very dangerous. Buses come super quick in London. Cyclists will come out of nowhere. Car drivers won't always stop if you're crossing the road. So just take an extra second or two, check both ways, and don't cross just because you see other people crossing. They might be just as confused as you are. Mistake number 14, not being mindful of pickpockets. So London has earned a bit of a reputation in recent years for being unsafe, and while it's still relatively safe for tourists, petty theft is on the rise and tourists are often the easiest targets. Last year alone, around 70,000 phones were stolen in London. That's nearly 200 a day. And it's not just pickpockets anymore. Thieves on e-bikes and scooters have been snatching phones straight out of people's hands while they're checking maps or texting near the road. Meanwhile, in busy tourist spots like Oxford Street, Camden, Leicester Square and crowded tube stations, traditional pickpocketing is still common, especially when you're distracted or carrying your bag loosely. You don't need to be paranoid, but you do need to be smart. Don't use your phone near the edge of the road, that's prime snatching territory. Never put your wallet or phone in your back pocket, and if you're wearing a backpack, carry it on your front in crowds or on the tube, and stay alert to distraction tactics, like someone bumping into you or asking for directions. These aren't dramatic movie-style thefts. Most people don't even realize it's happened until it's too late. And remember, this isn't just London. These tips apply to any major city around the world. We really hope you guys have a wonderful time in London. And don't forget guys, in the description there are so many resources to help you have a smooth, stress-free experience. So we highly recommend checking out the description box. And thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and we'll see you guys in the
next video.
Okay, that's too much. Oh, God.